Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm Petter and this is James.
Hello!
And today we're talking about volumes 21 and 22 of Vinland Saga. The War in the Baltic chapters continued all the way through this book too.
Woo!
We had two entire books full of War in the Baltic chapters now.
Is it like 34, 33? I
It's
need to double check.
36
36!
is the last one of this. And I wonder, maybe this naming pattern might continue, although I feel like it might be over. Actually, it probably is over. This, right? The War in the Baltic chapters?
Yeah, if it's not this chapter, it's got to be the next one, because it just feels like it's done, it's finished. We reached the climax and we've gotten to the resolution.
Right.
We're done.
Exactly. So yeah. It's at the very least it should be at least almost over, but if it's not already over.
Yeah.
But yes. I thought this book did an even better job than the previous ones at pointing out just how absolutely meaningless war is. Like, obviously the previous books have, I think, done a really good job with that as well, but I just felt like that message was even stronger in this book than the ones before. Like, there were, in my opinion, there were many instances, I thought, like, really throughout the entire book, but there were three, in my opinion, pretty special instances that showed it. The first one being the execution in Jomsborg at the very beginning of the book. And then there was the warrior who was dying and realizing that he wasn't being sent to Valhalla.
Yeah.
And then the two warriors who had fought on opposing sides in the battle, talking to each other after the battle was over. Those three instances, which neither of them featured any specific characters, we didn't know any of these people, but they still had this really strong message to them. And then obviously there were messages of this kind of portrayed through the main characters too, but I thought these were some special cases that I just wanted to mention briefly before we get into the real characters here.
Yeah, and this kind of actually is a continuation of what was happening in the previous volume, well, the previous book, I should say. There were some snippets of the warriors having some sad, tragic moments in war. For example, the brother who was shooting at who's trying to get his attention of his long-lost brother.
Yeah.
But this book had some of my favorites, and the two being the execution and then the guy who slowly died, waiting for the Valkyries to carry him.
Right.
So sad, but so powerful. And I like just how they doubt the Viking way of living and thinking about, could there have been more, and maybe this Valhalla is not exactly all it was, or is something that we should be desiring, especially since that's just what we were doing to begin with. And then the person who was dying, waiting for the Valkyries to carry him, I like his last line where he says, "Boss, friends don't die. There's no Valhalla. It's all a lie."
Yeah.
It was like very sad, and yeah, it makes you think about cherishing the life that you do have and not racing towards your death.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Making the best out of the life that you have, like in the moment. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Yukimura's point is that maybe there were people who had these thoughts during their battles way back when. Maybe they were few and far in between, but who knows? Like, potentially they would be. And I like that kind of mindset where it's not black and white, where all these Viking warriors were just bloodthirsty people,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think he's doing a great job at showing that it's not just Thorfinn and his father who are like these good people, among, the society. He really is doing a great job at showing a very varied people, like, in general. We had Hild's father was an example that we saw, and also in the previous book, that one, well, you mentioned the brother. Well, he wasn't one of those people, but another instance like that with like kind of non-characters having some pretty interesting stuff was the father and the son who were on the battlefield, and the father just got blasted with the catapults, and just was kind of torn in half. Like, that seemed to be like a pretty cool guy based on what he was talking about retiring after this battle and all that. But let's get into Thorfinn. He infiltrated Jomsborg at the start of the book here to rescue Gudrid, and there he came face to face with Floki pretty much right off the bat in this book.
Yeah.
And, well, obviously I'm sure anyone who had read the previous book would have predicted this, but he totally lost control, and he grabbed his sword and he cut 3 fingers off of Floki's right hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I when I read this, I never thought he would actually kill him.
Right.
Even though, I mean, it looked like it was really close, but it was still, we trust in Thorfinn, and he ultimately didn't. But man, that was still such an intense and exciting scene.
Yeah, absolutely. It did kind of make you question just a little bit, like, oh, whoa, like how far is he going to go here?
Yeah, right.
But not that and I don't think you did either, that doubted that he would be able to control his rage, which he was. But it was a tough battle, and I like the fact that it wasn't as simple as, no, I forgive you, or I'm not going to do this as soon as he comes in. He actually has a moment where he basically loses himself.
Yeah, he looks really scary too.
Right, yeah. But he does eventually come back, and he breaks his sword in half with his knee.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That must be a thin sword, or something's going on. Make it out of wood or something.
Regardless, I love the imagery of that, or like kind of what that represents,
You're right. Yeah, absolutely agree.
And, well, Baldr obviously threw himself in front of Floki in that moment.
Yeah.
And I guess it makes me wonder if if Baldr hadn't done that, would Thorfinn have killed Floki? If he hadn't, stopped himself to not hit Baldr there, because that was when he just kind of stops with the sword in the raised, and just kind of stood there for a while. And I just wonder.
Who knows?
We'll never know, I guess.
Maybe Gudrid would have ran in it at some point.
Yeah, right.
Maybe.
I mean, I could see that, but yeah, maybe. But yeah, I mean, he would have died himself if he had done it, since Hild was there. So.
Right.
So I guess with that in mind, it was also kind of one of the extra reasons why I didn't think he would do it, because he can't die here. Sort of.
Yeah.
His showdown with Garm, I thought was obviously a great part of the book, but I absolutely I think my favorite part of that was when Thorfinn started acting all cocky in front of Garm,
right?
And followed obviously by Thorfinn using a move on Garm that Askeladd had used on Thorfinn in the past, and how that kind of, I mean, there's been little hints of this before, but I think at this point it seems to me at least pretty clear that Thorfinn, he uses the good teachings of Askeladd and while disregarding the bad ones, in a way, because Askeladd wasn't all bad. He was very bad, but there was good in him too, certain aspects. And I think it's cool how Thorfinn can learn from those sides of Askeladd and just kind of ignore the rest.
What's interesting though is he says, "What a horrid thought! The things that man taught me were what kept me alive." So while he does remember the good things, or I guess the useful things from Askeladd, he kind of almost resents it.
Yeah, which is fair. I can understand that still.
Yeah.
Just because of who Askeladd was and what he had done.
Yeah, it's an interesting relationship that he still possesses with the dead man, but
yeah, totally.
But I understand, because it's a very complicated one. Yeah, I really like that moment, just how he eggs Garm on. Expert mode unlocked.
Yeah.
Protect my own life, not take the life of my enemy, and still win.
Yes.
I mean, that sounds impressive. There's probably some video game players who be like, "Oh yeah, that's the true way to play it." You're not really playing the game unless you do it expert mode. And I love his line, "I'd be even a greater fool to use a blade on a child."
He's really mocking Garm there. And, it makes me wonder, well, obviously we'll talk about Garm later, but it makes me wonder if Garm learned anything from that or not.
I wonder, yeah.
Yeah, but...
Yeah, for sure. I guess I had this in Garm's section, but I'm going to bring it up here. I love the fight with Garm where you get Thorfinn's point of view. As the panels go, you're actually seeing the fight happen through Thorfinn's eyes.
Yeah.
You see Thorfinn, attack, not Thorfinn, Garm attack him, and how Thorfinn reacts that way. You don't really see that at least in this manga. I think it was the first time you really get a point of view type of fight, and I thought that was really cool.
Right, I agree totally, and I thought I don't think I've ever seen, at least to this extent, I don't think I've seen this kind of, I guess, method or well, yeah. This way of showing a fight. I don't think I've ever seen in a manga before. I thought it was awesome. Then when the battles were all over, Thorfinn hugged Gudrid. And oh my gosh, that hug was so, I thought it was so wholesome, like, and just the way he embraced her and spoke to her.
Yeah,
it was heartwarming, so heartwarming.
It was very heartwarming. He, like, it was an embrace, but he had his hand on her head, like, I don't know, like that's really intimate, I feel like.
Yeah,
putting your hand on the back of someone's head, like doing just an embrace, you know, both hands behind the person's back. That can be pretty intimate, but putting it right there, I don't know, like that just seems like romantic in a way.
I mean, it seemed affectionate, definitely. I agree.
Affectionate. That's a great way to put it.
But yeah, I mean, but still, he seems to still be quite oblivious to.
Oh, absolutely.
The whole thing, like, after the hug, like, because obviously Gudrid was blushing a lot after that, and like she almost fainted. It looked like when he hugged her, but he didn't really notice that at all. Like, after he was done hugging her, he was just like, "Oh, what about Sigurd? How is he doing?" Like, he just moved right on. So it's still interesting. Like, it's hard to, I guess, read Thorfinn when it comes to those sorts of things right now.
Yeah. While it doesn't surprise me the way he's been so far, like very awkward with terms of love, I'm still excited to see how this goes down in the next book. But I guess we'll talk about that a little later.
Right. But yeah, because, well, I mean, on the whole topic of love for Thorfinn, he did at the end of the book find out that Gudrid actually is in love with him, and of course, he doesn't really know what to do with that information. He seems to be pretty stumped. But yeah, that is something I'm just super stoked to see how that's going to progress. Like, really exciting.
Yeah, I like his reaction. He's like, huh? Huh? Like, he did the same panel twice. Huh?
Yeah. I wonder if we're supposed to read that as him kind of, if it's like a happy surprise or if it's just a surprise or like
I think it's just to know how to react. He's like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah, I think so. Ultimately, I want to find some kind of happiness in there, like, oh my gosh, she likes me too, but I guess it would be a bit of a stretch to say that so far or so early.
Yeah.
But no, it's he's definitely at a loss.
Yeah, he's clueless. It could just stem from the fact that his self-confidence and self-worth is very low. Like, he doesn't self-esteem. Like, he doesn't think of himself very highly.
Mm-mm. And
so maybe it's this thing where how could anybody fall in love with a monster or a horrible sinner like me?
Right.
Yeah. Which is not a healthy thing to be thinking.
No, it definitely is not. But I hadn't really considered that exact possibility, but I think that's definitely likely in this situation here.
And maybe it's a few things, and maybe that aspect won't ever get touched on, because I definitely think he just has no experience with that, so obviously he's going to be very awkward, and we've established that before.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't be surprised if it's also a self-esteem kind of a thing.
Yeah, no, I can see that for sure. It's also nice that whole scene took place at his father's grave place or general area, and that was, I mean, I thought it was a really nice moment when he got there and to just kind of take in the scenery and just see it, be there at the place where his father was buried.
Yeah, no better place to confess your love to your crush than at your crush's father's grave. Yeah. That's the perfect place.
The way you say it now makes me feel like it's not a good thing.
I mean, it depends on I mean, it sounds pretty goth to me. So maybe some people like that. No, I mean, look, at that point, they're not thinking about the gravestone, or the burial place.
Oh yeah.
It quickly became a field of battle, or
Right.
or
Yeah.
at least
Yeah.
it was going to be. Anyway, one other thing I have about Thorfinn is mostly just the main plot. I'm glad he was able to spare the lives of Floki and Baldr, and then
Yes.
disband the Jomsvikings like
Hell
that.
yeah.
Way to go!
Uh-huh. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, in the role of or as the fourth chief of the Jomsvikings.
Which I was like fourth chief. Oh, have they not been around like too long then?
I suppose not.
I guess that
Yeah,
makes
they
sense.
can't. Yeah, they should. Yeah, yeah, and I actually that does make sense. I think just based on the fact that at least what I know about the Jomsvikings historically is kind of disputed whether they actually existed or not. So
Right.
if they only existed for a short amount of time, then I guess it makes more sense for that to be an uncertainty. Like the existence of them. So yeah.
Yeah.
Lord Thorfinn. I thought it was cool that he was actually called Lord Thorfinn here.
Starting from the bottom, now we're here.
Yeah. Yes.
Uh,
But he kind of cast that aside pretty quickly, of course, which makes
of
sense.
course.
Of course he would.
Yeah. That would have been quite the turn if he decided to
Just become a war
rule
chief.
over them. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
It's like, that's not where I thought this was going.
Yeah. Yeah, like I can appreciate some plot twists and plot turns, but that
Sure.
would have been too much.
That would have been would have been rough. But yeah.
Yes. Awesome character journey in this book, and I guess a conclusion to this arc for Thorfinn, in a sense. Although they're still on the journey to Miklagard, so
True.
I guess because it feels like the end of an arc, but it also
It does.
doesn't. Like it's, well, which is nice. It's refreshing to not have this super clear kind of distinctive arc shift here. I think like it's not obvious that it's an arc shift or not.
I think for Thorfinn's character growth, like we finished one aspect. I mean, we the readers have closure in that he's confronted Floki, and he's able to overcome his demons and just you know let the man live, and become a better person for that. But now, as we see at the end of this book, he turns a new page in his growth as a person, potentially. I mean, and
Yeah,
I'm guessing that's love. So I think that's the next aspect of it all.
I hope so.
That's what I'm hoping. I mean, yeah, they got to get to got to get to Turkey or Greece or whatever.
Right.
But we'll see. I wonder. Do you think the trip to Turkey or to where they're gonna trade it is just gonna be snap, quick, done, or is it gonna be a long, like it's gonna take a few like a couple volumes?
I have a feeling it might just be a short bit in the story. Obviously, I don't have too much to base it on, and I'm actually going to share that a little later in regards to something else.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
No,
okay.
it's all good.
Yeah.
But I think just to answer your question, I think if they do go there, which I mean they should, right? But I think it's just going to be a short thing.
Yeah, we may not dwell on that. Which, I was kind of excited to see their travels all the way to that part of the world.
Right.
And just see their adventures there, but that would involve introducing a lot more characters and settings and whatnot. So which I would be awesome, but the story is pretty long to begin with, so maybe it's best to just take care of that in a couple chapters and then get on back.
Right. Maybe that is Yukimura's plan, but I mean, obviously, can't know for sure. But
we can't, yeah. But I've really liked the Baltic Sea, the War of the Baltic Sea. Like,
yes,
it's really been a fantastic, I guess, arc within this expedition journey. So I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. If this is considered to be an arc, then I'll say this is my favorite arc of the story so far.
Yeah.
But is that all on Thorfinn?
That is all on Thorfinn.
Cool. Then let's talk about Gudrid. She did have an escape plan of her own, but it didn't go so well because of it was really Sigurd's interference that kind of ruined it because he kind of sounded the alarm.
Yeah.
Or I guess Garm was also one who kind of sounded the alarm there. So well, one of those two was kind of to blame.
Few things.
Yeah. But yeah, it didn't go so well. So obviously, I was glad to see Thorfinn. Well, that he got there, and well, she was really glad to see Thorfinn as well when he came to her rescue. Oh my god, I love that, like that little part when she's, she's blushing, and like I can really feel that.
Yeah.
Plus, it's super cute, but yeah, she was blushing like crazy, and and obviously again when Thorfinn hugged her, as we talked about earlier, yeah, she's head over heels for this guy, it seems.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen a character blush that red before in the face. At least in manga or anime I've watched. Yeah, I mean, of course there's, super flushed faces, or their entire face goes red like a thermometer.
Yeah.
But in this manga, it's, I don't know, it just takes it to another level. But I agree with you. Like I share, like I could feel her feelings of crushing on this guy. Like you can just tell from the drawing that she feels this way.
Right, it's so good. Like I could feel my heart start like racing a little bit, kind of as I expected, I guess, that she was feeling when I saw her that way. It's just, I don't know, it's really awesome. It's really cool how it has that effect.
Yeah, I mean, it goes to show how, I don't know, how well he was able to portray that, and just how great his art is, Yukimura.
Absolutely.
But when I saw her blush like that, I was completely on board the ship. Like
Yes.
I was already, in favor of it, but obviously in our discussions I've talked about the possibility of Hild being a thing. But I acknowledge that Gudrid was showing that she might have feelings for him. But after this, it's like, okay, yeah, like, Thorfinn Gudrid ship, I'm all for it. Let's go.
Yes.
But after that happened, it just grew and grew. Like that desire that, that, how do I explain this? Me wanting them to get together and have, have family just grew.
Yes.
And till the very end, it was just overwhelmed with romantic feelings, and just like, I totally ship them. Sign me up for this crew. Petter's the captain. I'm the lowly shipmate. Because I'm too late. I was too late.
Well, I mean, I'm really happy to have you on the ship.
Thank you, sir.
We're sailing into Miklagard right now, so.
Aye, Captain.
I'm really happy to hear it, and I mean, it's just so exciting. I don't know what more to say really, but it's great. But moving on a little bit more with Sigurd, or not Sigurd, Gudrid. Well, I'm gonna get to a little bit about Sigurd here, though.
Yeah.
In order for her to convince him, to get away from the gate when they were about to escape, and because he wanted to stay there and just kind of, well, sacrifice himself because it would be too shameful to return without Gudrid. She promised him that she would come with him back to Iceland, only to, well, supposedly only to get him away from there, because I don't think she cares about Sigurd specifically, but she cares about life in general, so that she doesn't want his life to go to waste there.
Right.
That's how I interpret that scene. I think it's a safe assumption. What do you think on that?
I think it's a really great evidence into her character, willing to sacrifice her own happiness to see him alive, to keep him alive, is just a great testament to her character and her value on life. Yeah, it was very, very admirable.
Very, very.
Quite the sacrifice.
Totally, yeah. And the fact that she still was keeping her word, even after the battle was over and everything. It seemed like she was feeling bad about it, but still she was true to her word that she had given him back then, which is interesting. Obviously, that and that leads to a whole other kind of can of worms. That like, well, what's going to come of this now? Like, well, getting to kind of that last scene of this volume or of this book, a few volumes back, Gudrid was expressing her annoyance kind of with Thorfinn about how he always tried to do everything by himself. But at the beginning of that last scene of this book, she actually put her foot down and was firm about not just letting him go alone with Thorkell, and so
Mm-hmm.
she followed along, which was great to see that followed up on, and for her to take action and kind
Right.
of take charge in that kind of way. And I think it was crucial that she came along, well, obviously, because she, she prevented the fight between Thorfinn and Thorkell from happening. She punched Thorkell. She
Mm-hmm.
punched
Yeah.
Thorkell.
Mm.
I just wanted to just like cheer and clap my hands when she did that. That was so cool. I mean, it was just a little pop. Like it was nothing. Like the punch was nothing, but just the action itself was so badass.
You got guts, girl.
Uh huh. Oh my
Uh,
god. Although we knew that, I think as you
oh
pointed
yeah.
out in was it the most recent volume probably where she kind of tried to lecture Garm when they were in the prison cells about what a good life is, or like a worthy life, or like whatever, like a good way to make a living is. But yeah.
Yeah, I love her taking a stand. Like she takes a stand quite often in these two books, I feel like,
Mm.
offering herself as sacrifice in order to, get Sigurd alive.
She was also the first one to go and to open the gates when they were about
Yes,
to leave.
exactly.
Like she took
Call
charge in
Sigurd
that.
yeah, calling Sigurd a miserable little man. Like,
Yes, that was so awesome. But yeah, and she stood up to Thorkell, and
yeah,
she ultimately, confessed her feelings in front of everybody. Like, she was so brave in this book. Like, so many
yeah,
instances of just her courage.
all without harming a person. I mean, yeah, she
Yes.
punched Thorkell, but
Yeah.
you know, that wasn't gonna really harm him.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome.
But it's like I didn't think about this until now, but you compare it to the bravery of these warriors who are killing each other and basically fighting until they die, uh, versus Gudrid, who is showing her bravery through selfless sacrifices and sticking up for others,
Mm.
and not necessarily doing it violently.
Yeah, absolutely. But man, when she admitted to loving Thorfinn, I just lost it. Or like I was like, because if I mean, it had built up with like all these hints and shit, and then she actually said it.
Yeah,
Like, oh my
I love
gosh.
the way she says it too.
Yeah. And like yeah, because I did not expect it to come out that way. Like
Right.
I did not expect it right then, and like I like for her to for it to come out as a response to a question from Thorkell, out of all people. It was just so good. So yeah, it felt random, but it also felt so right. But man, and I felt so sorry for her kind of afterward, like at the very end of the chapter, where she's just super flustered and she doesn't know what to do. Like it looks like she just wants to disappear. Like she doesn't
Yeah.
dare to turn around and face Thorfinn, and like I obviously I
I
understand
feel
that.
that. I
Mm-hmm.
feel that secondhand embarrassment. It's like, oh, girl,
Yeah.
it'll be okay. I hope.
Yeah. You'll be fine. But oh gosh, that yeah, in the moment, that's not fun. Yeah. Anything else on her?
I don't think so.
Great. Then let's move on to Baldr next. So him getting in between Thorfinn and Floki, I think saved. Well, it definitely saved both Floki and Thorfinn's lives.
Mm.
Or more likely, possibly. I guess it's not definite. But yeah, it's possible that he saved Floki's life and by extension Thorfinn's, because he would have been shot if he had killed Floki. And if that is the case, that he saved their lives by doing that, it's also, I think, a possibility that he saved, also by extension, Gudrid's, Hild's, Sigurd's, and Sigurd's companions' lives, because I think they may not have been able to escape Jomsborg without Thorfinn's help.
You have a point.
So yeah, his intervention there, I think, was really important in that way.
Yeah. I, it's sad that he feels responsible for his grandfather's ambition.
Yeah.
Like all the things that his grandfather's has done well, he feels it's been for him, and to an extent that is true. Well, it's I think you could say it's mostly true. We'll talk about Floki later, but it's sad that this poor child has to feel the responsibility of all the deaths, all the pain and suffering, and when war,
Mm.
when he didn't do any of it or want any of it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. He didn't want any of it. It's which is it's like last time I compared him to Gudrid, in that they're like by the people around them, they're both kind of forced into situations that they don't really want to be in, but that others would be happy to be in, kind of. But this is, I guess, kind of a step further than Gudrid's, where, well, it's obviously more violent and with those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's similar in how their freedom is kind of taken away from them, unless they themselves try to break free from that. But yeah, well, yeah, but I agree. It was really sad to see how basically it kind of culminated in him almost committing suicide. Like that was such a sad part. Just kind of crying at the middle of the street. Ah.
He says that his true intentions were to disband and destroy the Jomsvikings so he could be free, which, I don't know, like, I never felt like that was in doubt. like, I never expected him to want to continue their band, or I guess the point was that if Thorfinn wanted to keep the young Vikings around, that would be against what Baldr wanted, but clearly Thorfinn didn't want that either, and I thought that was established. But
right.
Either way, I guess it's I can't say admirable, but it's sad that all he wanted was just freedom and just to end all of this fighting and bloodshed.
Yeah, right. And it's a really mature mindset for a kid as young as him.
Yeah.
But I guess in a way, I mean, I can still buy it though, because he was raised in Jomsborg, and he always saw that kind of lifestyle, and he saw the ugliness of it. So with that in mind, I think I can still buy the fact that he has that mindset.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. When he suggested that they take him hostage, or that they pretend to take him hostage, he, well, in his lines, he called back to, or well, he didn't intentionally, but his lines did call back to Hordaland's "Somewhere Not Here" monologue from chapter 2.
Oh, really?
Again, when he said that he wanted to go somewhere that's not here. Basically, that little "Somewhere Not Here" quote was there as well in his monologue, or in his
Hordaland, eh?
So Hordaland,
I remember that
she will
name.
never be forgotten. It actually made me go back and reread that scene from chapter 2, and it's still such a good scene. Her talk with Thorfinn, at night there at the ship. Yeah, even though she was just such a incredibly minor character, she's still so beloved to me.
Well, yeah, but it really is kind of a theme for a lot of these characters, trying to find peace somewhere out there amidst this world of war and slavery and just terribleness. It's just a constant theme. So she really is kind of the spokesperson, at least the first instance, the first scene of someone striving, wanting that.
Precisely. So on the whole hostage thing, Baldr was taken. Well, he was first held hostage by Thorfinn, obviously. Then Gudrid for a little while with the with the ladle, and then Sigurd took over holding him, and then ultimately Hild took him hostage at the end. So I just thought it was like a poor kid being held hostage by four people in the same in the same night. Although it was his own idea, to be fair.
The last thing I have on Baldr is at the very end when he's sailing away with his grandfather.
Yeah.
His servant, maid servant or whatever, says, "We don't have any food. What are we gonna do?" He's like, "Oh yeah. Well, yes, we'll fish." And I was like, "Yay! Yeah. You get to fish."
Yeah, that was so good.
The simple things in life. It was quite satisfying ending for him.
It was. Yeah, like, right, even though he didn't end up going with the main characters in the end. Yeah, I agree. It was still a good ending for his character. Well, supposedly ending as far as the story goes.
Right.
Because, yeah, just going, or at least, living with his grandfather and, well, the servant that he seemed to be close to. It was, very sweet.
Yeah. Interestingly, I said that if Floki was alive, that what did I say? I think that Baldr wouldn't leave or something like that. But if Floki died, Baldr would.
That's right.
But it turns out, I guess I was wrong on both accounts. That with Floki still alive, Baldr leaves. Like, there's really no place to stay, so they have to leave.
Right. Yeah, it was a good end.
Yeah.
And yeah, not one that either of us I think had really foreseen. So that was cool. But shall we move on to Floki then?
Yes.
So Gudrid made the observation that Floki is overprotective of Baldr, but that means that he still cares about him. And I think she's right. Like, all things considered, Floki has done many terrible things, but all things considered, he is a pretty alright grandfather to Baldr. Like in the previous book, we saw that he took Baldr fishing, even though it was risky and he didn't want to put that risk to Baldr, although he did it just because Baldr wanted to. Like, Baldr just really wanted to go fishing, so he did it for Baldr's sake. And in this book, we saw how he totally freaked out over the smallest little scratch on Baldr's cheek. Like, he really genuinely does care about Baldr. I think it's not just about the kind of having someone in your family to become the chief. Like, it's not all about that. Sure, that's part of it, but he does, I think, genuinely care about him as a person as well.
Yeah, you gotta hand it to him. He really loves his grandson. That's at least one redeeming quality.
Yeah.
Dirty ambitions aside, I guess he lost some fingers.
Yeah.
From the strike on by Thorfinn, although nothing really comes of that besides he just has a bloody hand throughout the whole thing. But it is, that interaction was interesting because he tries to intimidate Thorfinn by saying, I'm this big grand guy, there's no way I'll be defeated, and swipe, like, cower before me.
Right. And it's funny because only moments before that, he was just kind of shivering in his boots because he didn't, like, suddenly he had no more guards to come to his rescue, kind of. He really is a coward. I mean, we've said it before, but this book showed it in that scene, and it also showed it when he planned to escape by leaving a bunch of his own soldiers to die at the fort.
Right.
Just despicable.
Yep. Where did he get Bigfoot?
Yes.
Where did Ymir come? Where did this come from? Like, it's just...
Yeah, that was. Yes. So, yeah, that was interesting. I guess so. So yeah, Ymir, I guess like some kind of battle slave or something like that of Floki's.
I guess so.
For anyone who doesn't know, the name Ymir is it was the ancestor to all of the giants in Norse mythology. So that is obviously, with the character Ymir here being so large, must have been why Floki named him that. But yeah, that was an interesting character design, and it got me thinking.
Very much a twist.
Yeah, because it just looks far less human than all of the other kind of characters we've seen, except for one I actually remembered. Well, sort of. Jabath in the first chapter, that the frog man, or whatever you want to call him, the Frank. He also looked very weird. Yeah. Obviously in a very different way, but it's like I guess Ymir is not technically the first instance of a very strange character design in the series.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I see what you're saying in that it's not the normal or typical character design that we've seen from the other characters in the story. But Jabath is like more of a caricature, or definitely a human-like person, whereas Ymir seems like it's the missing link, or like a line of species of Homo something, not Homo sapien.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I guess my point is it looks like it's a Neanderthal or a caveman kind of thing.
Yeah, and like I wonder if we are supposed to take it as something like that, which I don't think Neanderthals existed back then.
There's no way.
Yeah, like I'm quite sure they went extinct quite long before that. But I still think it's fair to assume that this is a caricature similar to how Jabath was. That neither of them might not look exactly as they are drawn, but they're both a little bit exaggerated in their own ways, maybe.
Okay, I guess I see what you're saying.
At least that's how I'm choosing to view it, because I can't really make sense of it otherwise.
It's just all the hair, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the size is one thing, but it looks like a gorilla with the hair.
Yes.
Like wow.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. Yeah, and like he towers even over Thorkell.
Yeah.
And I think the freakiest thing is that he likes to eat people.
Yes.
Like what?
That's why it's hard for me to compare to Jabath, because Jabath, while he looks weird, like he's still human.
Fair.
This guy, you talk about eating people. Like, it's like he's an animal.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's wacky. I wonder if we'll see him again. Like Thorkell took him along, or maybe took him along. I guess we don't know for sure, but yeah. We'll see. I guess. I could definitely see this as just being like a one-shot character, though.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm just curious how Floki got him, or like where he found him, or how he's able to tame him. Like it was definitely a trump card, or a your secret weapon.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it was very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Last thing I have on Floki is that he's murmuring to himself how obsessed he is with his glory. Remind me of the Despicable Kettle.
Yes. Absolutely.
But it was wholesome to see Baldr try to, get his grandpa out of it. It's like, come on, like live a little, we're free.
Yeah, if you want to eat, you gotta catch a fish.
Right.
Yeah, right. No, I absolutely also see, like, I feel like his end was kind of definitely similar to Kettle's end, in how, he just kind of went a little bit numb in the head after everything was done, and is supposedly not going to be a threat from now on. But yeah, he did live through it all, and I'm kind of glad that he did. I think the fact that he still lives kind of proves Thorfinn's strength and resolve even more than I think it would have if he had died.
Right.
Like, regardless of who had killed him, like, even if somebody else had killed him, I think this is a better ending for the story as a whole, because it shows Thorfinn's growth in a better way.
Yeah, I think in a lot of movies you'll see, the hero have a moment where he gets revenge, about to get revenge on the bad guy or take the person's life, but he's like, no, I'm better than that. And then the bad guy proceeds to die by his own actions, or like someone kills him. Or
somebody else does it, or something. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
They kind of like grimace, like the hero kind of grimaces, but they just like walk it off, like, yeah, he deserved it. But in this case, I think Thorfinn would have really been upset if Floki had died some other way, like upset in the fact that, oh my gosh, it may not be me, but am I happy the fact that he's dead? Like, should I rejoice in the death of someone else? I don't know. Like, and maybe he would have. Maybe he wouldn't have reacted that way. But that's just a thought I had. But I like the fact that the villain just keeps on living, but has to repent in a way, or think about what he's done.
Yeah. Plus, he gets to spend time with his grandson, which I think can only be a good thing for him. I think because we know he loves Baldr, and we know what Baldr is like. He has a great attitude and a fantastic just kind of view on life, and I have faith. I have a good feeling that Floki, well, whether or not he changes, he's not gonna get worse. Like, it's not gonna get worse from where he is right now, where it is right now, thanks to him being with Baldr.
Yeah.
In fact, it's probably gonna just get better. At least that's what I'm hoping for.
Yep.
Anyway, anything else on Floki?
No.
Then let's talk about Garm next. I say with his in this book he's wrapped his forehead in with cloth, because I think he got injured in his battle with Thorkell last volume, and I think with that, well, quote unquote headband, he looks even more like Thorkell now
Yeah, he really does.
than he did before. So I think it's cool just to continue to see these resemblances. And he ran over the freaking wall to Jomsborg.
That was pretty boss.
That yeah, totally, totally was.
And that's actually believable.
Mm.
Like, I mean, it's still an extreme feat, but I think someone could actually do that. But you just have to be incredibly athletic and nimble.
Right. Which we know that he is. Like, he is
Right.
acrobatic and really fast. And
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, Garm proves that he's one of the best fighters we've seen in this entire story. And we see that he views war as a game, an act of pleasure, and really doesn't value life at all. Like, the meaning of life is just to really fight and just play this game.
Right.
And then if you die, then okay, that's it. Like,
yeah, and yeah, it's funny. Yeah, you say he has like no regards to life or doesn't care about that at all, which is definitely true. And it's also fun how firmly the previous book established that goes for even his own life as well. Like, it's really not just about, oh, I can kill everybody else, but nobody can kill me. But it's, well, he's totally unbiased when it comes to lives. Even his own can be, like, he's totally fine with his own life being taken at any point.
right.
So he's definitely a fascinating character in that way.
And I guess that kind of stems from his backstory that we see briefly. It's a bit twisted.
Yeah.
But from a very early age, he was made out to be a disturbing person, and he killed adults. He just murdered anybody that got in his way, all because he thought it was a fun game, kind of a thing. So maybe some mental issues there.
I mean, yeah, definitely. He has the screw loose somewhere. But speaking of the flashback, through that we learned that his father growing up was supposedly maybe not actually his biological father. At least he said something along those lines, and I mean, I suppose he whoever that guy was, he could have said it just because he was fighting with his wife or whatever, and just said something that made it sound like that. But it definitely sounded like he wasn't the biological father. At least that's how I interpreted it, and that I think also, well, it still makes the idea of him being Thorkell's bastard son work. So that's not debunked or anything at this point in time. So I think I still like to think of it that way.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say exactly.
Yeah.
It could be just a situation where, but he's your son. It's like, that's no son of mine. Like,
right, exactly. Yeah, it could have been just
kind of
something
disowning him.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe there's more to it. Maybe Thorkell came in and knew this woman. But no, we don't know.
Yeah, and we may never, but I still like to think of it that way regardless, I think.
Yeah, they're just too similar. Maybe that's the point, that both of these war-crazed guys, similar features, but similar personalities in a way as well.
Yeah, right.
It's almost tragic that the only fun and satisfaction that Garm gets is just in war and fighting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also similar to Thorkell, it seems like.
Totally.
And it's sad that their lives are like, I mean, it's their choice. And I think Thorkell made that very clear in the previous book. But, I guess difference of opinions, but I think there's much more to life than proving yourself on the battlefield or just having fun. I mean, look, I guess I'm going more into Thorkell here, but he had a wrestling match with Ymir and had a blast. He didn't kill him. He knocked him out.
Precisely.
He didn't kill him.
Yes.
So why not just do that kind of stuff? I mean, yeah, you're not going to find monsters like Ymir all the time, but, just battle until you knock out the guy or you don't necessarily kill him. And if Garm were to learn that lesson, I think that's kind of what Thorfinn was somewhat trying to teach him, in that you don't have to kill your fighting partner.
Right, I mean, yeah, at the very least, it would be a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Because that's interesting. Thorkell is definitely messed up in his own ways, but he has a more healthy mind than Garm, for sure.
Yeah, I'd say that as well. And maybe that comes with age.
Could be. Yeah, right. Who knows? When Thorkell was Garm's age, maybe he was just as crazy.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, there's still differences. You're right. But with Garm, it's interesting because after that fight they had and being knocked out, he comes back in. And he's like, "I'll get you next time. I'll be sure to kill you next time." And he's like, "I just want to be." Thorfinn's like, "I just want to be friends with you." He's like, "But we already are friends."
Yes.
It I kind of went, "Ah,"
Yeah.
but then I was like, but it's also weird. Like, I'm getting mixed messages from you, kid.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, he has the same kind of, in a way, he has a similar kind of cuteness as Thorkell does, right? Because they can both be cute in their own ways.
Yeah, true.
And while at the same time they're absolutely dreadful, and you don't
You're right.
want to be close to them,
right.
really, but still, yeah, going at here and there on both of those, I think is fair.
On both of
still.
them, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else on Garm?
No.
Then let's talk about his maybe daddy, Thorkell. He leads the charge to Jomsborg, and he is loving it. He is like crying with joy over how much he's loving the war. That's so funny.
Oh man, it is. Yeah, he's too much, man. He's too much.
He really is. I think last time I talked about him being like a jester in a sense for the readers, like just a guy who is just so obsessed with war to the point where he just becomes a clown, basically.
Yeah.
It's just so funny. But oh my gosh, that reference to The Shining, where Jack Nicholson, in The Shining breaks through the door and he's like, "Here's Johnny." But we got Thorkell doing the same thing with the axe and then peeking through and saying, "There's Floki." With the same face and everything. Oh, that really killed me.
What a reference. What? Oh my gosh. I pray that Mappa, whoever decides to animate it, will go all the way with that reference.
Yes.
Just,
please do, please.
Perfect.
Because they even had, like, first of all, when we saw the axe coming through the wall, like chopping through the wood,
yes.
like that angle was exactly as in the movie, and then the obviously like the iconic shot of the face peeking through the planks, obviously it was right there with like basically the same face expression and everything. Like, oh my god, it's so good.
The only way you could approve that scene if you have a shot of Floki's just screaming high pitched, "Ah!" Something like that. I think it was perfect.
Yes. Oh yes. Oh my god. But yeah, that definitely caught me off guard, kind of. So funny. Thorkell was just so funny throughout this book, just in general.
He really was.
Just having a blast fighting Ymir, and right after the fight, he just acted like a child when he wanted to, keep Ymir around.
Yeah.
Like, please, can we keep him? I think that's one of those instances where, Thorkell is kind of cute.
Cute, yeah. Right. I'll give him half of my food.
Yeah. Oh. Adorable.
Hey, maybe it will help his boredom,
Right, precisely. Let's hope.
Yeah.
Better than the bears.
Yeah, apparently. So we had talked about multiple times, so we had hoped that Thorkell would have a coming of understanding that, this endless fighting and everything was just maybe not for him, or not what Thor's was all about or anything like that. But we're at this point in the story, and I just, I don't think it's going to happen. I think Thorkell is just happy with the way he's living his life and has no desire to change whatsoever. And unlike those Vikings that we had in this book who had maybe some regrets about the life they had led up until that point, I think when Thorkell eventually dies, for him, hopefully on the battlefield, I think he'll be like, "Oh man, life was great," kind of a thing, I just don't think he's ever gonna seek out change, because in order for a person to change, they have to seek it out.
For sure.
They have to be the one to desire it.
Absolutely. Right, because he does learn about Thorfinn's plans for Vinland and stuff in this book, and
Yeah.
he really just
Kind of
kind of
he
laughs it
laughs at
off.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I wasn't surprised that he did, and he says it'll never work, and that people even there are always gonna have wars and stuff. And,
Yeah.
which, I mean, he's right. There were definitely wars in North America to come. um, but yeah, I mean, but although I mean, I still think it would be really cool if somehow there's still maybe a chance for him to join them, or in some sense.
I agree.
But you're right. It does seem unlikely.
Yeah, how does he reconcile that? I guess he's like, well, you're the only family I have left. I'll go with you. Like, why would he be done with that all of a sudden? I don't know.
Yeah, right. And it's also the idea that it would be so rewarding for Thorkell to understand the meaning of what it is to be a true warrior. Like, for him specifically,
Yeah.
just because he knew Thor's, who was kind of like the original true warrior, and the fact that he has had the strong curiosity about that whole concept this whole time. So I'm really hoping that there's like it's not over. Like, whether or not he's actually gonna become a pacifist, like maybe that is a stretch to assume that he would ever become a pacifist.
Yeah.
All out.
Yeah.
But that he at least can improve, like, in some way, and become more of a reliable ally potentially. But we shall see.
Mm-hmm.
My last thing on Thorkell is just I love just how excited he got when he found out that Gudrid likes Thorfinn.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he was so into that he was just okay with not having the fight. Which, that says a lot when it comes to Thorkell.
Right?
Like, he wouldn't give up on a fight that easily, but that revelation about Gudrid's feelings for Thorfinn supposedly was enough to leave him satisfied.
So I never imagined him to be. Do you think he's a bit of a romantic? Like, he kind of likes those romantic things? Like,
Honestly, after this, yeah, I do think so.
man, I wonder if he ever had a wife, or, well, maybe not a wife, but I
Mm.
wonder if he ever had children or had romantic feelings for a woman. Like, I
Right,
don't know.
right. Mm-hmm.
Because
Man.
I always pictured that war is the only wife I need, kind of a
Yeah.
thing.
Oh my gosh. I would not say no to a spin-off manga about, like, Thorkell's life, kind of like what it's like, his youth and his
A rom-com?
I mean,
Let's go!
it would definitely be a comedy at the very least.
Yes. Although, I I worry because we, like, how accurate are we going here? Like, the plundering and other bad things.
Oh, we don't have to dwell on that kind of stuff. We can just skip over those, like, fast
We can
forward through
pretend
that.
that never happened.
Yes.
and that everything he did with women was with their consent.
Oh, yeah. Man, yeah,
Anyway.
he must be a really dreadful person in a lot of ways, but man, it's so hard
I don't know.
as a fictional character, I love him. He's just too fun.
You want to hope for the best. Yeah, he is too fun. He is too fun, and I love him. One of my favorite characters in the story, in this arc, as we're calling it, has really emphasized that, I think, because he's back. He's been back after who knows how long.
Yeah,
and it was great to see him in all his glory.
it absolutely has been. But I guess that's it on him.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Sigurd next. So, just like Thorfinn, he also infiltrated Jomsborg at the beginning to find Gudrid there.
I love that. I love the shot, the 4-panel shot where you just see the well, and then you just see his head pop up.
Yes, you suddenly. It's like a Diglett from Pokemon.
Yeah. I like it.
But yeah, it's really great. And I think during that infiltration of Jomsborg, Sigurd was given a few things to think about, like, well, what he really wants in life, and what he wants to do with his life, and those kind of things. I think he started to think about seriously during that, and he was a little bit like, I think he seemed a little bit annoyed with himself as to why he actually started thinking about it as deeply as he did when he was asked those types of questions from his companion. So yeah, I think he is continuing to grow as a person, and that's great to see.
Yeah, I like that. Getting some character development there.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it seems like he's deeply contemplating what Gudrid feels for him, and
Uh-huh.
you know, kind of the whole aspect that Fatty brought up is, what do you want? Like, does what you want and what Gudrid want match up? Yeah, it's very thought provoking, and he actually takes the opportunity, or at least it seems like he's taking that opportunity to ponder it and think. And
Yeah.
I also wonder if, after hearing Gudrid's confession, or her admitting that she has feelings for Thorfinn, it could be jealousy, but maybe he also feels bad.
Right.
Like he feels bad that, because forgive me if I'm remembering wrong, but I could have sworn it was either before they got married or after they got married, he asks her if there's someone that she loved or like cared for, like back in her hometown, and
Oh.
I think she says she didn't have anybody like that, and then he's like, "Then there's no problem, right?"
Okay.
I
I don't remember
I
this, but
think that
it could have,
happened.
it definitely could have happened. I don't recall it, but
Okay, well,
it may, I mean, I don't remember it, like everything, but it may have happened, and it sounds like it could have.
maybe I should go check. But regardless, I think there is a bit of guilt in Sigurd right now, all along with thinking about what he himself wants.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this is gonna sound a little bit harsh, but I kind of hope so. I kind of hope that he feels a little bit of guilt, um, just because I think that's kind of necessary to, or it's, in a sense, I think it's a healthy emotion to feel after having acted the way he has acted. And I think if he does feel guilt, that is proof of him becoming a better person, or having grown as a person, because he probably wouldn't have felt guilt, you know, a little earlier in the story. He wouldn't have felt guilt over that. But I think if that is what he's feeling, then that's proof that he has grown,
Mm-hmm.
and he has become a better man, which I think he has. And I think he still has room to grow, but he is definitely on his way there. And yeah, this got me thinking about kind of what you were asking me about earlier, about if it would just be a brief visit to Miklagard, or if they would stay there for an extended period of time earlier. I think Sigurd is probably ultimately going to be cool with it all, and
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna, divorce Gudrid
Mm.
and all that, because that's what they probably, at that point, that's what they'll both want with their lives.
Mm.
But I wonder if that procedure needs to be done in Iceland. Is
Oh,
like, maybe.
I absolutely think that's the case.
And if that's the case, they're gonna need to go back there. Whether they do that like as the next thing, or if they do that after they've gone to Miklagard, I guess that's the big question. But I guess the thing is, if they do it after Miklagard, then I kind of suspect that it might, the trek to Miklagard might be kind of a quick one,
Yeah.
because they got to get back to Iceland. Has kind of been my thinking on that. Although obviously it's really just a gut feeling, and I don't really have anything to base it on. But it's how I kind of feel about that.
I think it's also possible that Sigurd takes Gudrid to Iceland before he decides what he's going to do. And then when he's in
Ooh.
Iceland, he finally comes to his senses, or he's like, you know what, you're right. I don't want this. You don't want this. I'm not going
Oh.
to force this upon you.
Ooh.
Um,
Ah.
and that could help Thorfinn potentially understand his own feelings for Gudrid if he really misses her.
Right.
He's like, oh my gosh, what is this feeling I have? That is what we call love. and then yeah.
Yeah. I kind of like that too. Like I like it, and I don't like it. But no, I think
Brett!
ultimately I like it. I like it because of what you said. Yeah, it is a good thing for Thorfinn, potentially, for his feelings to grow and for him to realize them. And it could also be cool to have the story take place both in Iceland and Miklagard simultaneously, kind of go back and forth a little bit. and that way maybe we can spend more time in Miklagard, which could be cool. But what I don't like about it is that it would separate Gudrid and Thorfinn, and I don't want them to be separated. But ultimately, it might be for the best.
Distant makes the heart grow fonder.
Yes, you are right. So yeah, it could be really good, and I'm definitely ultimately, I'm more liking it than I'm not liking it.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
No, it's true.
No. But no, I'm fine. I'm fine with them. Like if they go to Greece and they come back to Iceland afterwards. I'm fine with that as well. I do think that either way, Sigurd's gonna take his time to really understand his feelings. Watch me eat dirt, eat crow, and he's like, first page. You know what? Let's get a divorce.
Yeah, I mean that's more so what I'm leaning toward actually. Like maybe not the first page, but
fair enough.
Before it to be a little bit faster from here on out. Although I could definitely enjoy a long having it be dragged out a little more because I mean that would definitely make it more exciting. I think.
Like, I think it could I don't think it would happen in the second volume. I think it would happen in the first volume where he finally decides to divorce her, but it just wouldn't happen in the first few chapters. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I did find the reference I was looking for in book 8. After their marriage, they're in the room together, and he says, "Look, you've looked downcast as a tired time. Was there a man you fancied back home?" And she says, "No." And he says, "Well, forget about that." So
okay,
I wonder if that's not exactly the same as I said, but it could mean that her growing feelings for Thorfinn would make him feel guilty about him marrying her.
Right.
When their marriage is really just about bringing two clans together, and he even mentions that in that chapter in book 8. This is nothing about love; it's just bringing clans together. And so maybe the fact that she has fallen for someone, he feels bad about.
Precisely, and I think he absolutely does, or at least will start to do. He's in the process of starting to feel bad about it. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I'm definitely enjoying his character journey.
Yeah, it's
and
nice.
It's not. I mean, it's not over yet, but it's getting there. I think.
Just last thing I'll say about him is more of just in general, just the hilarious antics that him and his men, when the coming out of the hole, and then him and Fatty and their barrels, his gas, like giving them away, like that was great.
Yeah. I love there was a second fart joke in this book.
Yeah. And then the barrel blaster.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
What is this?
It's great. And well, my last little thing is I just wanted to point out that he took at least 4 arrows, or he was hit with at least 4 arrows while they were getting out of Jomsborg. But
that is impressive.
He's still kicking, so it's very good.
This has been a really tough and long journey for him. For all of them. I mean, let's. I mean, Thorfinn's been through a heck of a lot as well, but Sigurd has been basically experienced a few arcs of his own, of his own story. Slave arc, war arc.
Yeah, you're right.
Guilty arc.
You're right. Yeah. Plus, he had like that entire 3-month period that was just skipped in Thorfinn's journey, or like in the manga here. Yeah. He was just sailing around searching for Gudrid for 3
expedition
months.
arc.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, man. Yeah, he has definitely been on a long journey. But moving on to Einar next. Well, all of the last ones here are pretty brief, at least for me.
Same.
But Einar, what do you got on Einar?
Nothing.
Okay. Well, I only have one very little thing. It's how he, at the end of it, he kind of just nudged Thorfinn. After Gudrid had said that she likes him.
Yeah.
And he was like, bro, you should say something to her. Like,
bro, come on.
That kind of way. It was like, of course he would, support Thorfinn in that kind of way, and like just as the bro that he is. But yeah, it was cool to see. But yeah, not that much for him this volume. Mostly I'd say same for Hild.
Yeah.
You got anything on her?
I mean, she had a part in the story more so than Einar, but nothing like new character wise or
right.
I mean, I guess she was the one that knocked out Sigurd. That was pretty funny. Took
Yeah.
butt of the gun, but that's about it.
Yeah. Next, let's talk a little bit about Asgeir, the guy, like Thorkell's man,
Oh,
who sent Sigurd to infiltrate Jomsborg. Well, actually, I don't actually have anything specifically on him, but one of his lines, he refers to Jomsborg's gates as the door to Muspelheim. And I just wanted to, just in case anyone is wondering what the hell is Muspelheim, in Norse mythology, it's the realm of fire. I guess from a Christian standpoint, it's kind of like what you would envision hell to be like. It's just like a fiery world, perhaps. Or to be fair, I don't know. I don't know all that much about Christian mythology, but that's at least it's a fiery realm with like just fire and just a shining fire and stuff. It's where Surtur lives, who's a giant with a fire sword, who I think has a part to play in Ragnarok. But yeah.
seems nice.
Yeah. And yeah, it's obviously basically like like a Christian would have said like it's the gates of hell. Like it would have had the same meaning, I think. Although Muspelheim in Norse mythology is not an afterlife area like hell is.
Right.
It's not like because I think Niflheim and hell, like although spelled just Hel.
Hel.
Yeah. Are actual afterlife places, as well as obviously Valhalla.
Right.
But anyway, and the last character I have anything on, and this character didn't actually, I don't think appeared here, but Carly's mama.
Yeah.
We actually get it confirmed for sure that was the name that they went with, and it did stick. Because last time I didn't think they actually stuck with it, but turns out they did. I just wanted to just point that out here. That I think it's. I guess it's cool to have a name that's actually stuck now.
Carly's mama.
Yeah.
That's funny because if you hadn't like read that side chapter or whatever, you never would have known.
Yeah.
That's the dog's name.
Right.
And I like that little connection to that, and I also like how that was the way Gudrid thought it was best to confirm Thorfinn's identity.
Exactly. Yeah. It was very nice. But do you have any other character you want to talk about?
Just a joke.
Okay.
When Thorfinn infiltrates and the maidservant has the guards run away after a false lead, the guards are like, wouldn't it be really stupid if we were to fall for a trap right now, or like a really stupid trap? It just feels. I just have this feeling like, knock him out. Like, I thought that was really comedic.
Yeah, that was really funny. Like it's the kind of humor that I guess I hadn't really expected from this manga, but I think Yukimura definitely made it work here. Like that was so great. But I guess that leads us into predictions.
I think Garm will make a comeback at some point.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like their parting ways was their final goodbye. I don't know if he'll go to Vinland. Maybe. I don't know. But I feel like he'll be back. Like he doesn't seem to be done with Thorfinn. Although I can't say there's a whole lot for him to experience besides a change of heart in some way. But I guess we'll see.
Right. Yeah, I think him. I guess he's a similar case as Thorkell, in my opinion, as a character that it would mean a lot to see them actually make that growth. So yeah, I'm also definitely hoping to see him again.
I wonder about Thorkell though. I almost feel like this is the last time we'll see him.
Ooh, I really hope not.
I mean, I really like Thorkell, and I would like to see him again, but I almost feel like this is a good place to end it for him.
But they have unresolved business in a way. Like he's still
Do they?
like, well, yeah, because Thorfinn still owes Thorkell a fight.
Yeah, that's true. But that could just be a parting. I don't know. Yeah, maybe you're right.
But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say we'll see Thorkell again. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but I'll say it anyway.
I would love it if we see it again.
Yes. But as far as the journey goes, I mean, well, yeah, we kind of talked about the potential of splitting the party here, which, yeah, definitely could be neat. At the very least, some of the characters have to continue to Miklagard next, I assume, because they need to sell those narwhal horns.
Yep.
And whether that's the entire party or not, I guess it remains to be seen. And I guess if that is the whole party, at least I hope for them to return to Iceland after that. In that case, like if that doesn't happen at the same time, I hope to get to Iceland afterward to see, what can happen about the divorce and like. Well, I imagine some drama can come from that, with Halfdan and all of that. So that could be interesting and kind of scary, perhaps.
Very unsure, but yeah, I feel that it'll go one of those two ways that we've mentioned earlier.
Right. Yeah.
But who knows? We could be wrong.
Regardless, Halfdan is going to be an obstacle.
Yeah, he's not going to be happy about the divorce whatsoever.
Right.
And if we're correct in Sigurd taking that stand or that choice, he's going to have to basically go against his father in some way.
Exactly, yeah, and I'm super excited for that, to see how that's all going to go down.
Yeah.
But I think what I'm the most excited for to see going forward is to see how Thorfinn deals with Gudrid's love confession.
Yes.
Because I think they would be super cute together, and I just want to see that.
Aye, Captain. I agree. Full speed ahead, Captain.
Yes, we have a fine wind today.
Aye, Captain.
I'm just hoping to see Thorfinn come to terms with, those sorts of feelings in the next book. That's like one of the major things that I'm hoping for / predicting.
Yeah, definitely. And I wonder if it feels like the next chapter is gonna address it, like in one way, whether he refuses to accept it, or they really awkward about it, or maybe he just funnily, in a humorous way, accepts it in some way. I mean, it could be that, he finally gets it, and then they have a moment together, and they somehow, or then they go to Sigurd's like, hey, divorce this woman so I can marry her.
Oh, yeah.
But something tells me that's a little too bold for Thorfinn's awkwardness. You know what I mean?
That's a fair point. Plus, it would also maybe take away a little bit from Sigurd's character journey, as in, like, I think maybe it would be more rewarding to see Sigurd get to that conclusion himself.
Right, and Gudrid's sacrifice of saying, I'll go to Iceland with you.
Fair, right. That's true. And in that, I guess if you want that to get paid off as much as possible, then I guess your prediction is the most, might be the better one then, potentially.
We'll see if Yukimura agrees.
We'll see, yeah. I mean, regardless, oh my god, like, there's no way the next volume is not going to blow me away. I feel like every volume lately has just been blowing me away, and there's no way that the next one is not going to be awesome. Whatever happens in it.
Book 11 is so good.
Yeah,
like this is it has everything. It has the action, it has philosophical debates, it has awesome character growth for Thorfinn,
romance,
and then the romance.
Yes.
Throw in the comedy bits here and there, and you got a really great book.
Absolutely. Yeah, I could not agree more. This we've talked about it, how we have both really fallen in love with the series, but it really is making its way into probably my number one spot. Like, I don't know if it's there yet, but it's like, or maybe it is. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, it's actually maybe it freaking is. Anyway, I love it so much. It's just been so amazing. All the characters and all the events and all of the wisdom in the series. It's incredible. Like, it's unlike anything I've ever read or seen. Like, it's a one of a kind thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. On that note, I guess we are done with this week on Umami Manga.
Yeah, I think so.
Great.
I'm ready to go read book 12.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so ready. We will be caught up once we cover that in a week or two. So yeah, I'm super excited to, first of all, to read it here tonight, but then also to talk about it with you soon. So yes, if you enjoy our content, you can follow us on Twitter at Umami Manga, and it would be lovely if you'd like to support us by either rating our show on the podcast platforms or subscribing to our channel Umami Manga on YouTube. If you like this episode, please share it with anyone you think might enjoy it too. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about volumes 23 and 24. Bye bye!
See you later!
I also got Uzumaki. I'm a little bit scared of reading it. And, like, I'm looking at it in my shelf and I'm like, I'm dreading to open that one up because I've heard from so many people just how scary they think it is, and like I've heard people say that after they've read it, they get scared when they look at like spirals.
Oh no!
And I'm like, what? How? Like, and I'm obviously I'm intrigued by that, but I'm also scared.